Hello, everyone. John Cooper here, ready for another Doctor Who episode discussion, series 11. Let's see, episode 7, Kerblam. But today I have a guest with me. It's the one, the only Captain Switzerland.
What an intro right there. Nice to be with you, John.
Great to have you. For those who don't know, Captain Switzerland is in charge of a political YouTube channel where we discuss all kinds of politics, particularly in the UK. Let's see, Labour, the Tories, Brexit, etc.
The whole shebang.
Yeah. Let's see. But anyway, we're not here to discuss politics, at least not in the broad church. At least we're here to discuss Doctor Who, Series 11, Episode 7, Kerblam. But before that, Swiss, what do you think of the series so far?
I've been pleasantly surprised by it, actually. I wasn't entirely sure what I was going to make of it a while back, but it's not only would I say it's better than I'd expected, but arguably I think it's probably better writing than we've seen under the last couple of years of Moffat.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I have a feeling like that. Granted, I will admit, I'm as expected. I believe the reactions have been mixed, partly due to like some of the more political stuff in this series episodes. Well, granted, Doctor Who has always been political. Well, granted, the debate on whether or not it's become more subtle or more open about it is up for debate. But yeah, like that. And what do you think of Jodie Whittaker as the 13th and first female Doctor?
I feel like I'm still getting to grips with her character a little bit.
Yeah, go on.
I don't know if you feel the same way, but I'm still trying to grasp exactly what her personality is, because it seems to be friendly, bubbly, helpful, a little bit scatterbrained, but I don't know. I feel like perhaps there's more to her that we haven't seen yet, or at least there should be.
She gives me a bit of a David Tennant vibe, but yeah, I think it usually takes a Doctor like a second series just to usually get the gist of the Doctor. Granted, with Elliston, it only took one series, but that's because that was the only one we were going to have with him. But he was fantastic. But
the first episode of this series just gone. You know how after a Doctor regenerates, they're always a little bit wacky for that first adventure because they've still got all the regeneration energy.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure how much of Jodie Whittaker's performance in the first episode was her new Doctor and how much of it was wacky regenerated Doctor.
Oh yeah,
but it seems, broadly speaking, she's remained pretty much the same throughout the series since.
Fair enough. Let's see, and fair enough. I will admit, for me, when she first appeared, she was a Doctor. But anyway, what do you think of the companions? Who's your favourite? Who's your least favourite? And what you hope for them in the future?
I've got to say, Graham has absolutely stolen the show for me.
Oh yeah, he is like, in many ways, he's like your working class uncle or grandpa that's so likable.
And I'm trying to remember the name of the guy who plays him. Bradley Walsh. Is it?
I think so. I haven't really kept up with the actors' names or the series.
He presents The Chase. I think it's on ITV. Daytime quiz show, and like I knew him from that beforehand. And when I heard he was going to be in Doctor Who, I kind of thought, oh, that's not going to be very good. Getting a quiz show presenter to be on it, but again, I've been pleasantly surprised. He's always coming out with those random little lines of wisdom, isn't he?
Oh yeah. So what do you think of the other two companions, Ryan and Yaz?
A bit bland, to be honest. I mean, you know, they're decent enough companions, but I wouldn't say that either of them particularly stand out to me as being too exciting.
Well, fair enough. Let's see.
But I did like the family relationship between Brian, his Nan, and Graham at the very beginning.
Oh yeah, that was great. Let's see.
What about you? What do you make of them so far?
I quite like them. I think Yaz needs a bit more to shine, though. Granted, she had quite good moments during like the last episode, Demon in Punjab, which is probably my favorite of the series so far. Let's see. I quite like the history lessons they've been giving us because Doctor Who was originally for history, but hey. But yeah, let's see. I will say at least with like. I'm trying to remember. One thing I do like about these companions is that they're not like the most important figure in the room, which has kind of been happening with some of the previous companions as of late.
Oh, I completely agree. Clara Oswald springs to mind.
Oh yeah, but we'll get to that when we just finally begin discussing the Stephen Moffat era of Doctor Who video that we've been planning. Let's see. So anyway, what did you think of the monsters that we've had, or villains per se?
They've been doing their best to stay away from
The classic.
pre-existing ones.
Which
Yeah,
probably is the smart move, given how they've been overstuffed over the last few years, particularly in cameos. But
yeah, they kind of been done to death somewhat. I
so,
thought. I thought the monster from the season opener, Tim Shaw with all the teeth on his face,
oh yeah,
that was pretty good.
yeah, he was the best, I think. I also quite like the giant spiders as well. Let's see.
Oh, with the giant spiders, the concept of giant spiders in of themselves, I wasn't too fussed about. But there was
Oh,
a scene. There was a scene in that episode where the spiders were all marching down a corridor to some grime music,
oh
and
yeah, Stormzy.
that was bloody brilliant. Yeah,
I love that. Oh, Stormzy, you're gonna be. Let's see, Stormzy. Yeah, Ritzy, you've made it to Doctor Who. Congratulations. Now let's get you into an episode at some point.
yeah, absolute peak of the career right there.
Oh. Let's see. Anyway, what you're hoping for like the next few episodes? Well, no, we'll get to that bit there and stuff. But let's see. But anyway, we should discuss the current episode. And let's see. The episode starts off with the Doctor and the TARDIS. Let's see, with his crew, with her crew. Let's see, getting a delivery from a robotic postman, in which inside is a Fez. And I'm just loving that 11th Doctor reference.
Yeah,
I'm hoping she wears it in the future as well. And she asks, "Still me?" And I seem to be pretty much yeah. But yeah, go on.
it was funny because I remember when the box opened and the Fez came out, I thought, okay, that's a nice little nod to Matt Smith, but like, haven't we just had Matt Smith as the Doctor? And I completely forgot 3 years of Peter Capaldi in between. Even though I was a big fan of Capaldi's Doctor.
Oh yeah, I think he was a good. It's just most of his episodes weren't so much. I mean, he has his good ones. I quite like Time Heist, but anyway. But during the package, there was a little message saying "Help me." So the Doctor and Krakow go to the planet Kerblam, or like the moon or something, where there's the company Kerblam, where they try to get in by
They posed as employees, didn't they?
Yes, for a warehouse, which upsets Ryan because that was his previous job, and probably most working class people finds his job boring and stuff. But hey, there we go.
And they were this one. They were kind of riffing on Amazon, weren't they? I think they were very clearly trying to do some parallels to Amazon.
Oh yeah, clearly.
Here's a question though, right? Say you're one of those people who works in the factory, right, with all of those delivery men robots.
Yeah.
Do you not walk in on your first day, take one look at how creepy those robots are, and say, "No, this is outer space. They're going to turn evil and murder everyone at some point."
Well, they do have the smile.
That's the one thing I'd say. That the one thing that surprised me is nobody in the episode itself. I may have missed it. Maybe it did happen, but when they just go, "Bloody hell, those robots are a bit creepy, uncanny valley, aren't they?"
Oh no, maybe because they've had them for so long. It's like, okay, I'm used to it now. Let's see.
Yeah, perhaps.
Let's see, but yeah. Anyway, during the course, we're met with a secretary. I can't remember the name. Was excited to see it. Was excited when the Doctor used her psychic paper and screwdriver to make it look like she was part of some royals or something, or some special family. I can't recall what, but anyway, but that's not really all that important. We're also introduced to one of the workers there, Dan Cooper, who's very attached to his daughter and kind of thing. Let's see.
Played by the comedian Lee Mack, I believe.
Yeah, who I believe was the star of Not Going Out. Let's see.
That's right. I've got to admit, though, obviously, because I'm slightly familiar with Lee Mack, I watched it, and the entire time I was watching it, I couldn't imagine him as the character he's playing. I kept just going, that's Lee Mack in a high-vis vest, that is.
I guess that's what happens when you become too big.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Doctor and Co are set up to do each of their jobs. Originally Brian and Ryan were to sort out packaging, Yaz to sort out stock, I believe, and deliver it. And the Doctor was originally to be a janitor, but she swapped with Brian, which I found quite funny, to be honest. During which they're introduced to Ryan and the Doctor are introduced to a female worker called. I'm trying to find the name. What was the worker's name again?
Oh, I can't remember, but I know the one you're on about.
Yeah, let's see.
Because they didn't. I mean, there weren't really an awful lot of speaking characters in it. There was Lee Max guy who works in the warehouse, and then there was the girl with red hair.
Yeah, I'm just going to call them optimistic girl because she was quite optimistic, particularly when we see of how she views her job and stuff. And when the Doctor defended her.
If we're calling her optimistic girl, can we call the other guy pessimistic boy, the one that Graham ends up working with?
Oh yeah, let's see. I think his name is Charlie. Let's see, because Charlie's just such a common name.
It is, yeah. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. I was about to get into spoilers for the end of the episode there.
Yeah, but let's not get there just yet.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anyway, let's see. Yaz is bonding with Dan Cooper as he talks about his daughter, about how he gets to see her, but the job at least gets to secure her future. Let's see. Yaz gets a notification to deliver these things, but Dan shows a bit of worry, saying he'll do it because some people have been missing, and he'll probably be a bit better at handling it because he assumes everyone's been fired. During which the course of that, he is when he's going to the delivery, one of the creepy robot parcel man is standing in front of him, and he's just wondering, okay, what are you doing here? And then suddenly, scene changes, and we hear a scream. And we're our first victim of the episode.
Dun dun dun.
Let's see. The Doctor is also, I believe, introduced to like the manager of the site, who pretty much looks and acts the part of a stereotypical evil boss manager.
And a bit of a Napoleon complex at that as well.
Oh yeah. Let's see. During the lunch break, I believe. Let's see, Yaz also ends up, discovering, Dawn's missing objects and stuff, and manages to escape the delivery box, informs the Doctor and co. what is going on. The Doctor with Yaz and Ryan goes to confront the two managers, while, Graham goes to Charlie and tries to get the map of the area. During this course of this going on, we learn that Charlie and optimistic girl have feelings for each other in the most awkward but somehow cringy way. But hey,
yeah,
but isn't that what all love is?
They were in the picnic area, weren't they? And I can't remember. They had a really awkward interaction, and one of them ran off. I remember that.
Oh yeah, but yeah. During which the Doctor, no longer going with her cover, ends up saying that no one's going to die again. I'm going to find them, and I'm going to hold you responsible. If that kind of speech, the classic Doctor speech, I'm in charge thing. While Graham pretty much talks to Charlie about finding the map, while pointing out that yes, your crush on optimistic girl is completely obvious. I just love that.
And then where were we after that? Is this when?
I think this is when the Doctor, Ryan, and Yaz, wait out for them to, the managers to leave the thing, go back inside to find some information what's going on, while the female assistant manager, I think, comes back in, noticing because of their, wrist things, yeah.
That's
which the Doctor completely forgot about, which was kind of funny.
And she was the one who because they had corporate newspeak, didn't they? And she kept talking about humans working there as being organics. She go, "Oh, we don't have that many organics working here." Blah blah blah. And then it's when she finally catches them and they inform her what's been going on that she sort of starts. She turns into a bit of an ally for them for the rest of the episode, doesn't she? She sort of starts helping them out.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Let's see. During this course, Charlie also comes in. And they look at and they end up looking at some of the maps. They get one of the old original robots from the displays and the entrance. During the course, the business manager is observing through one of the security cams on the robots. I think, yeah, the creepy robots. And this is sort of like a hint that he's up to no good kind of thing. Also during which I believe the optimistic girl is being taken away by some of the delivery robots because she's now employee of the day or something, even though she's never heard of it and should be very I guess she needs the optimism and stuff.
Yeah. You are employee of the day. We have a present. Follow us. And then they march her out the room, one in front of her, one behind her, into an empty, locked room.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Let's see. During which the doctor, when scanning the robot and doing the old technological do-how stuff, learns that it was the system that called for help. And I believe this is when they begin to suspect like the manager's up to no good, I believe. But anyway,
I will say this: at that point in the episode, I was I hadn't actually seen that coming. I thought, honestly, the help me message would have been from a human employee working there. So the fact it was the system itself asking for help, I thought that was a clever twist. I didn't actually see that coming in the episode.
Oh yeah, let's see. Anyway, yeah. And during which we also the gang is informed that optimistic girl has been taken away to the lowest levels of the building and stuff, while Charlie, Ryan, and Yaz go out to find her in the storage the delivery area. I don't know, the pretty much bottom ground stuff. Sorry. You know what I'm referring to, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. At a location in the factory. We could say that much at least.
I think the transport area, but let's see. Or just the storage area, or where they're going to deliver. But let's see, which leads to some funny sliding downs and jumping over conveyor belts. I thought this was quite nice, just a bit of action. But go on.
I thought it was fun. But I think the CGI let it down just a tiny bit.
Yeah. Then again, let's see. Doctor Who's never really been that high on TV budgets, except for very specific episodes.
No, fair dues. Classic Who had its fair amount of crappy special effects, didn't it?
Oh yeah.
It just seemed like, to me at least, they were trying to do a little bit too much with the CGI there. And
oh yeah.
I mean, maybe it's just me, because I'll look for the CGI every time, but that was there we are.
Let's see, but yeah. Anyway, let's see. As the Doctor and co, I believe, are preparing to depart. And the rest of the gang is preparing to depart. They're interrupted by the manager, I believe, who has a gun ready to shoot them, but the Doctor teleports them all down to the bottom, and she quickly disposes of guns because the Doctor, she does not like guns.
Nope.
Let's see. That is one thing that has at least remained consistent in Doctor Who since the beginning. So, no offense to you gun-loving Americans, this is part of the Doctor's character, like it or not.
The Doctor is a freedom-hating liberal. Surely
Well, he's known for anti-authority and stuff. I'm sure the Time Lords can give a history of that. But anyway,
the Doctor wants to take away our Second Amendment. Goddammit! Anyway.
Let's see. I think we're cut to like the optimistic girl sent to this room, and she receives this parcel thing. Let's see. Ryan, Yaz, and Charlie. Just as they arrive to her, they try to speak through a window, kind of thing, but she can't hear or see them. Or can she? I can't recall.
No, she can't. It's a one-way window, I think.
See, and she begins to open it. There's nothing inside except for bubbles. Let's see. She does what anyone does with bubbles: pops them, and then boom, she's dead.
Now, I was surprised. Were you surprised by that when it happened?
Yeah, I was under the impression that the two were going to end up. She was going to end up with Charlie at the end of the episode because it was just so obvious.
And I kind of thought, how Doctor Who has a habit of, they'll go to some new place in an episode. They'll introduce like 7 new minor characters. They flesh them out a little bit by going, oh, I've got family back home. I've got aspirations to this, blah, blah, blah. And then they kill them. But they've done like a minimal amount of investment. So you're supposed to care when they get killed.
Yeah.
For some reason, I didn't see this one coming, even though they'd spent ages with her pondering on her backstory and blah, blah, blah. I honestly thought she wasn't going to be murdered.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. But anyway. Eventually, all of them, eventually the Doctor and co learn that the manager is trying to investigate himself, but he couldn't trust, the insistent manager, or anyone for that matter, and they all agree to work together, where they discover an army of those postman robots, with their creepy little smiles and eyes, and learn and look at the packaging and how it's first suspect that they're trying to deliver weapons to someone, but it's just normal products. It's not until Ryan Yaz and Co arrive and inform them that the bubbles explode, and they realize that these delivery robots are a ticking time bomb. Just then, the shocking twist, it turns out that Charlie is behind it, which the doctor goes like, the maintenance, of course, and all that stuff. And he goes on a rant a bit about how automations, robots are taking over the jobs, and despite what the manager is saying, eventually it may be just 10% now, but soon it'll be like 9%, 7%, 3%, and then finally 1%, and then no percent, no workers, no jobs. He needs to do this now, so people will lose their trust in automations and robots with their mass killings, and then go back to the plain old workers, as he's a science engineer and stuff.
Now there was a point here where I think the doctor gives him a bit of a speech to try and talk him down, doesn't she? She's sort of and I was paying close attention to what she was saying, because it was a very, very woke sounding thing coming from the doctor. She was like, it really was like she was trying to speak to young revolutionary types. She was going, I know there are systems, but the way to fix it isn't to destroy the system, it's to change the system from the inside. And I thought, my God, the doctor's a social democrat speaking to the tankies. What's going on?
To be fair, I suppose in some ways I kind of agree with her in this part, but because let's not go full on anarchy just yet, people.
Yeah, and I liked it. I like what they did with bringing in the automation aspect and a little bit of how to handle the political response. I'd say the doctor's speech came a little bit on the side of heavy-handed. It seemed a tiny bit obvious.
Preachy a little bit as well, but to be fair, they are but give props to them to try and address the upcoming automation, which will eventually, of course, affect most of the jobs that working class people and some middle class people end up doing.
Yeah,
which is like a concern. Because I know the current debates about immigration, but the real probably focus should be eventually on automation. But anyway, Charlie refuses to listen, and he prepares to send, all the deliveries to all the postmen to their destinations of delivery, and wait for the big boom. And breaks his detonator, so the doctor and Co cannot stop them. Luckily, the doctor, with her trusty sonic Swishani knife or screwdriver, I don't know what she calls it again, but tries to fix it, but needs the help of the little small android, to rearrange the deliveries, not to all those houses where all those people are, but to make sure the delivery stays within where they are, and have them open the package and set off the bombs themselves. Which thankfully she manages to do it in time, but as the robots are about to press the bubble wrap, she tries her best to persuade Charlie, get out of there, come with us, and all that stuff. But unfortunately, he doesn't listen in time, and they have to leave. They teleport, and the robots blow up, along with Charlie there with them.
I was quite glad Charlie blew up, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Because it's the typical doctor thing to do, isn't it? Being very forgiving of the bad guy and offering them a second chance to get out before they die. Yeah. But after, I was like, Charlie's already murdered a bunch of people. Yeah, she already asked him and he wouldn't go. And I was just clearly he wants to die among the androids. Just let him.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention how the Doctor and Co found the remains of some of the former warehouse workers and stuff, the 7 that went missing and stuff, which is blimey disgusting. And the fact that the system was trying to stop Charlie because it knew that Charlie was in love with Optimistic Girl, so it was trying to show him the feelings of what would be when all those people open those packages and see their loved ones die. But even then, he was still determined to do it. By this point, he was probably far too gone to do anything without taking any serious action, because time was of the essence. Anyway, the episode ends with the 2 managers promising to add more workers and less androids in the future, probably realizing that perhaps maybe they need to try and do better in order to make sure let's see, nutcases or revolutionaries like Charlie don't lose their cool and possibly damage the Kerblam company, and offers the Doctor and Co. a proper job this time. But the Doctor and Co. Freelance because they're like travelers, so they're off their way, but wishes them luck in the future, and maybe implying that if they ever need their help, they'll come back again. Let's see, and the episode ends with like the crew back in the TARDIS with like everyone warning. Let's see, Graham, don't pop those bubbles. Even though I think he popped one at the beginning of the episode, but who knows? Maybe that's a non-explosive one. But they just wanted to make sure. Let's see, and Yaz saying, let's see, who had picked up the pendant of like Dan Cooper's present that he got from his daughter. Let's see, ask the Doctor if she can take it to Dan Cooper's daughter and inform her of the events that happened and how much he loved his daughter, and the Doctor agrees. And at the episode ends with like a next time where we'll be going back to the, let's see, I believe the Tudor, let's see, well, the 15th, 16th century, I think, with like where we will be dealing with witches, and I believe the Doctor has been accused of a witch. But anyway, so
she's going to get dunked in the river.
So, what are your overall thoughts of the episode?
On the whole, I enjoyed it. I think the overall premise was interesting. Them doing it sort of a big warehouse, trying to do a modern commentary on Amazon. Which,
and as well as automation, which is
go on.
Which is a very serious concern for like the public at large, I think.
Yeah, so they were tackling an issue that I hadn't seen them go after before, so that was a bit fresh. But it did at times feel a little bit like a stretch, like the idea that there'd be this big business where 10% of the employees have to be humans, but 90% are robots, and somehow they haven't figured out a better way around it.
Yeah.
So what's the word? Contrived. I think that was it. It seemed a tiny bit contrived.
Yeah,
but it was refreshing. I hadn't seen it do that kind of thing before. So, mixed bag.
Yeah, let's see. What do you think of the robots and the villains of the episode?
I quite like the villains. I especially liked the way they were written. So they'd go, great workplace banter, but please do it in the allocated break time. That kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
They were creepy though.
Oh yeah. Let's see, terrifying. Let's see. I don't think there's been like a sort of like they probably might be the creepiest or scariest robots since the Clockwork ones from Stephen Moffat's classic episode in the Russell T Davies era. Or
I think it's hard for me to rank them against the other monsters. I'll say this much at least. I think that they're the creepiest monsters that have been in this season so far.
Yeah, so far they're probably the creepiest.
Yeah.
And they're probably the best robots since the sniper ones, while cool in design, but they didn't really last long enough to be a threat, really. But anyway, go on.
So I quite like the villains. To be honest, I wish we'd seen a little bit more of them acting up. I would have liked to see a few more robots going haywire and maybe like saying lines of dialogue that they wouldn't usually say.
Oh yeah, let's see. Are you ready to die now, or something, or like some sort of clever workers pun with like the word death in it? But
or something. I'm afraid your employment has been terminated, and then kill them all.
Oh yeah.
Your privileges have been revoked. Something like that. But overall, I was happy with the villains. I thought they were pretty good.
Fair enough. Let's see. And what do you think of the Doctor this episode? What would you think was her best moments, or?
Looking back on it, what stands out to me, I think. Oh no, that was a previous episode I'm thinking of. I think actually the little speech she gave to the pessimistic boy at the end, where she talks about systems and all of that. As I say, it was a tiny bit hammy, but at the same time, I still thought it was pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, because given the fact the Doctor has a history of being anti-authority, or at least not listening to what the authorities want her to do at the time, the best example.
Yeah, I mean, actually, you could probably say that the Doctor herself is a bit of an anarchist, isn't she? But just but doesn't endorse going around bombing people to meet your ends.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Let's see. What did you think of the companions this episode? Do you think they all had a fair share of screen time, or did one stand out, or did one feel undeveloped this episode?
As with most episodes, the two younger ones didn't really think they stood out an awful lot. Graham's probably the standout companion. He had a couple lines where he'd just be imparting this wisdom out of absolutely nowhere, almost to the point where it was quite funny. I'd turn around to my mate I was watching it with, and I'd go, "Oh, look, here we go, another philosophical quote from Graham."
I also like his reaction to when he realized he was going to be the janitor because the doctor swapped jobs. It was like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, and I also like how it's obvious you have a crush. Let's see, but yeah, I do kind of like how it delved into like Ryan's backstory of him being a warehouse worker in this episode. So it helped much because he knew how to do the job and where everything was and stuff.
Yeah, they used it to try and ground him and flesh him out a little bit more, didn't they? Yeah. By talking about previous work experience. There's a villain we haven't spoken about actually. Obviously the guy who'd been programming the robots and the rest of it.
Charlie, yeah. Would you say he's the best?
Charlie.
Yeah, would you say? So this guy's about to get into like the 5 characters that were introduced to this episode. Who'd you say the best and worst? But we'll start with Charlie.
Oh, okay. Charlie, when he was first introduced, it was like, okay, nervous worker guy who has a crush on a girl, and it just seemed like it was running along, the usual railway, and it just seemed a bit boring and generic. When it turned out that he was the main bad guy, and suddenly he turns into evil super hacker teenage terrorist boy, then I was like, okay, didn't see that coming. So probably one of the best bits of the episode is the twist, because I didn't see the twist coming this week.
Yeah, it really delved into it made his character a lot more interesting and stuff. Particularly, he had this mission, but during his infiltration, he fell in love. Unfortunately, he paid the price with his mission because the system fought back and killed his lover. To show him, this is what's going to happen if you can't go through your plan. Granted, a bit harsh on the system, but I suppose it's desperate to keep the company safe and secure and stuff. But hey, which is probably a dark side to the system, but let's see, fair enough. But what did you think of our other 4 human characters introduced?
Let me think. We had manager lady, manager man, Lee Mack, and who was the red-haired girl?
Yeah, the optimistic
girl. That's it. Optimistic girl. She seemed nice enough. I actually felt a little bit bad for her when she died, because I didn't think she'd die, and she was a nice person.
Oh yeah. Let's see. I thought she was going to end up, like I said earlier, with Charlie, but it's not meant to be.
Oh, but you know what? Props to the writers, because we had expectations of where the episode was going to go, and it didn't go in that direction at all.
Oh yeah. Let's see. As for Dan, he was just the setup character to be killed, but I think he was likable enough for you to like, ooh. But let's see. Wouldn't you agree, or
I see. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of Lee Mack, so my opinion might be a little bit tainted because of it. But I think I think they utilized him the right amount. I was fully expecting they were going to have him as a guy throughout the entire episode, and the fact that they used him as the first dude to kill off. Personally, I was quite happy with that. It may or may not be because it was Lee Mack, but.
If it was Tony Blair, you'd be happy about that. But anyway, let's not get into that.
Good luck seeing Tony Blair in a high vis nowadays.
Oh yeah. Anyway, the managers. Let's see. I suppose the male one was a bit under development, but he was sort of more of a red herring as like who you think is the bad guy, which he played the role well for that, I think.
Yeah, he did. By making him a complete arse in nearly every scene he was in, you really got the feeling that he's doing something dodgy. Don't you?
Yeah.
I don't really have an awful lot to say about the male manager. He just it was fun to see your typical stereotypical business bad guy.
Fair enough,
because we haven't seen one in a little while.
Fair enough, but yeah, and the female one, I think she did her role quite well, being the first. Everything's fine. I'll look into it, but then realizing once stuff there's a major problem, she begins to realize, okay, I need these guys to help me to save this company and stuff. And she ends up with and I think she comes full circle when she says, we're going to add more workers that are organic or human. Let's see, in the end of the episode. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, she and she actually had an arc to her, didn't she? When you say she came full circle, she started off one way at the beginning of the episode, she ended in a completely different way.
Mm-hmm.
I think the actress who played her did a pretty good job.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't my favorite character of the episode, but I do think she was the best acted new character of the episode.
Oh yeah. Anyway, there were 2 Doctor Who references from the 11th and the 10th. The most obvious one, of course, is the Fez, which I freaking loved. It's like I think for that, it's like, okay, I'm probably going to enjoy this episode. This is nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm hoping that maybe the 13th Doctor will start wearing a Fez now. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I just missed the Fez.
I think you missed the Fez. I mean, you never know if it's now known that there's a Fez on the TARDIS, could come back into play later on.
And there was like also a small referencing how the time the Doctor met Agatha Christine and the giant wasp when she was talking to Yaz at some point when they were talking about bees and stuff. I'm not sure if you remember. I'm not sure if you noticed.
No, I think I missed that reference. So well spotted.
Oh yeah, I see. I remembered it, but I had to double check on one of the Doctor Who on some of the news articles, and Digital Spy confirmed it. But yeah, so let's see. What are your overall score of this episode out of 10?
Out of 10, I will give this episode an 8. 8 out of 10.
Yeah. I think. Let's see. I was originally going to give it a 7.5, but I think I think I agree with you. I think this episode deserves a solid 8. Let's see. An interesting story with some new twists and turns that we haven't really seen. Let's see. Some creepy robots. Well, granted, a little preachy. Like, let's see. Perhaps maybe some of the previous episodes we've had this with this series, particularly maybe when it went to those giant spiders and the Trump stand-in, but hey, but since I hate Trump, let's see. Sorry, Trump fans who are watching this. Let's see. I don't really mind that much, but hey, let's see. But yeah, let's see. And I'm really looking forward to like next week's episode, where of course we're dealing with the witches. Anyway, before we end the discussion, there's also one thing I recall, and apparently we're not going to have a Christmas episode this year. It's going to be a New Year's episode. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's going to be a New Year's episode, I believe, possibly.
I'm a bit surprised, breaking with tradition. Although, that said, quite a few of the recent Christmas specials haven't been particularly Christmassy at all.
Oh, yeah. It seems they've been running out of ideas of what kind of Christmas theme they can include with it.
Yeah, maybe it's a good change. Maybe they give the Christmas episodes a rest for a bit and then bring one back later when they've got some actually good ideas.
Granted, that maybe also I heard some fans express a concern with it because Christmas time is usually when everyone gets time to watch a Doctor Who episode, and they're usually the most viewed episodes. And this is when people decide whether or not they want to get into the series or not for next series, but who knows. But yeah. Anyway, any more thoughts you want to give, Swiss, or is that are you done?
Let me think. Doctor Who visits Amazon in space. Automation is ruining everything, and there's an interesting twist where it turns out who you think will be a protagonist is the big bad guy. Thought it was a good episode. Thought the season's been pretty damn solid as well. Looking forward to next week.
Let's see. Sorry about that. That was just my mum calling. I'll call to her in a minute. But let's see. But yeah, you were saying?
Thought it was good. Looking forward to next week.
Okay. Yeah. Same here. I thought it was a solid episode. I'd say it's up there with the first episode, the Rosie Park. Let's see the last week's episode. Yeah, these are probably the 4 standout episodes for me this season. Let's see. I hope it continues. Anyway, until next time, where hopefully we'll be discussing the Stephen Moffat. But I need to.
Just before you go, I don't know if you've seen your side chat, but Bubbleviz has popped up in it.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and he's asked you a question. I thought you might want to answer it just before you go. He said, John, do you advise to see all 7 episodes?
Let's see. For most part, yeah, I think you can enjoy most of the episodes. Definitely the first one. Let's see. The second one, mostly if you want to see the new TARDIS design, which I think is good. If you're interested in learning about Rosie Park, yes, for the next one. Let's see. Arachnids in the UK. I suppose if you're a diehard Tramp fan, you might not like it.
Yeah.
Sorry, one.
I was going to say, I think knowing Bubblvis as I do, that he may well not appreciate some of the social justice aspects in a few of the episodes, but I will say that it varies from episode to episode how heavy they lay it on.
Let's see. Space Ambulance one. I, for most part, enjoyed it. Granted, you might find the monster disappointing, as I know some people did. Let's see. Demons in Bahajib. I thought that was quite an interesting episode. It was quite fascinating to learn a bit about the history during 1947. And possibly the part in which we Brits played a part in that kind of event. But also the tragedy between how all these people that lived together for so long became divided over small issues or religious issues, depending on where you stand. I also quite like the designs of the monster that episode. Let's see. And I recommend watching this episode if you want to see Doctor Who tackle Amazon. Automations and working class issues, pretty much. I think this one's probably, at least for most people, I think probably the most relatable episode of the series so far. And hopefully, and depending on how it happens, and hopefully the episode with like talking about witches will be just that for next episode as well. But yeah, at least for you, Bob Elvis, I'd recommend watching at least maybe 6 out of the 7 episodes, depending on your policies. But yeah. Mm-hmm. Any more thoughts to us, or?
No, that's everything from me.
Okay, fair enough. Let's see. Tune in next time for when the next episode comes out, and wait, and some point eventual discussion on the Stephen Moffat area. But I need to go soon because I need to talk, because my mom just ended up calling because I'm gonna go see the new Fantastic Beasts movie with her and my brother. Let's see. And I'm hoping to do a discussion video of that. I'm not sure if you're going to watch Fantastic Beasts, Swiss, but if you do, you're welcome to join me because I'll be talking about the movie, a bit about the controversy surrounding with some of the casting decisions, and JK herself.
Well, I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, of course, I need to try and find someone who's willing to do it with me as well, because it'll be boring if it's just me with there. But
well, I'm afraid, as I said, I haven't seen any of the Fantastic Beasts ones, so you'll probably have to find someone else for that one.
Yeah, fair enough. But I can count on you for that Stephen Moffat discussion.
Oh yes, definitely at some point.
Yeah. Anyway, bye for now. Let's see you until next time.
See ya.
And